me up or you're gonna have a real bad.
You are gonna have a really, really bad time, sir.
This shit. Hype me up, or you're gonna have a real bad time.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Retireholics. My name is Jay Dizzle. I'm joined by Silent J, Nerdy Chad, and everybody's favorite Retireholic robe guy. I was gonna sing a song today. I had this nice little John Cougar Mellencamp tune lined up.
That's so good.
Jack and Diane. But I
do it, JD.
I want to put a few finishing touches on it, and I've replaced Jack and Diane with Nevin and Fred. And there's some great lyrics happening, but you're just gonna have to tune in next time. So let's fill that need, let's fill that want with the beautiful tunes of the Wheel of Ice. Let's spin it, shall we, to kick off the show.
Here we go.
I've got a nice the pink version.
The Wheel of Ice.
Oh, no. Look at all those marks. How is that possible?
Yeah, Jesus.
Jeez.
Okay, we got a lot to cover. So, Silent J, take it away. Intro our guest, please.
Hold on, I'm gonna get this out of the way now.
You got some acrosins?
No, you can't. Nope. You can't pre-fund your
I can do whatever the
plan,
fuck I
buddy.
want. This is my segment, Mark. Shut up.
Nope. None of those counted, Justin. That was just for fun.
Anyways, I don't know how to put this, but our guest is kind of a big deal. People know him. He's very important. He has many leather-bound books, and his apartment smells of rich mahogany. He's an independent ERISA benefits compliance and planning consultant. He's of counsel at Kohler and Fitzgerald, board member of the Presbyterian Church USA, board of pensions, and member of ERISA attorney counsel for EBSA. Part-time, though. Ladies and gents, please welcome Mr. Jack Towarnicky.
Very well done.
Thank you.
Jess, I don't feel like you made up anything there. That was, you kind of just read a bio. That was weak.
Went right off the cuff, Chad.
Yeah.
Jack, I usually don't do this, but I do want to warn you the way this show works. If you use any acronyms or initialisms, my name aside, you must drink from your penalty drink. That should be your hard alcohol. I, by the way, reached up into the cabinet with my eyes closed and said whatever I grabbed was what I was going with. So I can't remember the last time I've taken a swig of Jameson.
Oh, that's good stuff, man.
Is it? Yeah. Chad's got a little honey Jesse James.
I've had this one for a while here.
And so just watch out for those acronyms, Jack, because they can be dangerous. Brandon, let's get right to it. Let's do headlines.
Which is just basically the entire show.
Hey, JD.
There we go, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Justin asked you on your LinkedIn post for a word of the episode.
Oh, no one responded on
He
that.
said you needed a word of the episode, and you said you're in. So are you going there tonight, or are we tabling that?
Sure, we can add a word to everything. We will go with, let's look for something that's reoccurring. Let's go with, this was always a hard one. How about investment? Any iteration of investment. And that's
What
two.
do you mean? No, that
Like-
doesn't count yet.
like-
That doesn't count yet.
Like investing or investments.
Okay.
I don't like that
Any
at all.
iteration. Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is
God.
all-
That's not good.
Look what Mark's drinking.
Son of a bitch. Okay, here we go. Let's the first article comes to you from the National Association of Plan Advisors, which basically 80% of our articles come from there. And it is titled John Paul Morgan. No, I don't know what the guy's name is.
That works.
Whatever. John Paul Morgan Chase expands offering with new solo K. Chase and Vestwell have a solo K. Our good old boy Aaron Shum. I have got a couple questions for you guys first, and I'll kick it to Jack. But what I want to first for every audience listening in It's a 350 setup. It's 450 per year, and it's 50 basis points. I'm
What?
assuming 15. Sorry, did I say 50?
You
15
did.
basis points. I'm assuming it's international. God damn, JD. Institutional share class of funds, but that's not really disclosed or shown on the website, but I'm just assuming that. But I would love to see what the investments you can choose in that program through Vestwell are. My question for you, Jack, and then for the rest of you is solo Ks. This is not something I spend a lot of time thinking about in my life, but I know there's a lot of solopreneurs. Is that how you say that? Out there across the country. And they would love to sock away, or the ones that are doing well at least, 70K, and maybe their spouse is working for them so they could kind of double up on that stuff. So I'm sure it's well sought after. Should solo Ks, Jack, have advisors at the helm in not a similar way, but in some way, shape, or form, like a 401k plan does? Or should these things just be like left to the people that are signing them up, and then they should go straight to a Chase or a Schwab and be left to their own devices? What should the advisor role be in a solo K, if any?
I don't know, but I would think of a solo 401k plan as comparable to an individual retirement plan,
Fair enough.
individual retirement account on steroids. I make an argument that when you have your own self-directed individual retirement account, you should be the person responsible for deciding whether or not you need assistance in terms of selecting investments. At the same time, I think the solo 401k, while potentially more complicated, it could have a directed brokerage account in it as well. And so to the extent that you're going for something beyond index investment choice index funds, I think you probably should be well advised to at least consider an advisor.
Getting some help. That was pretty fucking well said. Okay. Not only has Jack come to play the Acrosin game, he's also come to give intelligent and thoughtful responses. This is going to be brand new for a lot of our people tuning in, this type of high quality stuff.
Wait, time out. Hold on.
Go ahead, Roby.
I rung him up twice. Sorry, Jack.
For the word. You did it right, Marcus.
Is he playing the word game, or is that just for the four numbskulls that do this on a weekly basis?
Yeah, he's playing the word game. He's got to watch the
I
Iowa.
wasn't sure. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, I don't know what the word game is.
So no,
the thing is, let me finish. The thing
ahead.
is that you guys have this on Thursdays at 4:30 Pacific time. And normally I'm singing in the goofy church choir. So I can't ever be here, only because the church choir doesn't practice on Thursdays in the summer. Am I here? So that's
So
how
the,
we find
all
out.
we, all we did
What is the word game?
all we did was simply add, and I will drink, the word or any derivative of the word investments to the initialisms and acronyms. Chad, tell me about the solo K industry. Clearly, Chase thinks it's something it needs to get into to make some money or what have you. They've got access to a lot of people that bank with them privately. I'm sure they can go after them. Vestwell's involved in this, but I want to know, what does the industry look like vendors? Like, is there a lot of vendors offering solo Ks? And then Jack answered very intelligently in terms of why the person setting up the solo K might want to seek some financial advice. But I want to ask you on a higher level, is this something that advisors should be looking to help clients set up and
100%.
potentially get paid? Okay, elaborate.
100%.
Tell me more.
So let's break it down real quick into three different areas. One, you have the document support in setting up the plan. And let's acknowledge the difference between what Jack said and what we're talking about right now, which is that these plans are under the governance of the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. So there are some rules that they have to abide by. So the first side of this is setting up a document. They say in that release that you can go online and you can set up your document. Guys for who have been doing this as many years as I have, how many times have you taken over a solo K where the setup is immediate entry, immediate eligibility, no
Right.
waiting period, no safe harbor for non-high lease. They've hired 3 or 4 people. Nobody's talked to them about bringing those people into the plan. They've been funding. They're over 250K, and they're always wrong, JD. They are always wrong. So start with the document side. There's a mistake there. From the put my money in something that will earn me money side is my way of getting around it right there.
Wow.
Put my money in something that will earn me money side. Who's offering these plans? It's only mutual fund families. So American funds and others are like,
brokerage companies.
So I was gonna,
Schwab.
I was going to go there next, but you were talking record keepers. So,
Yeah.
so record keeper side, there aren't Vestwells really doing this. It's just your, a census is offering their own in-house kind of solution to a couple broker dealers. But record keeper side, it's only mutual fund families. So to Jack's point, yeah, man, most of these solo Ks should not be going to a packaged product. They don't need it from an access to something that will make them money side of things. What they do need is the third part from a financial advisor perspective. Most of the solo Ks that I see that we end up taking over, they went directly to Schwab. They went directly to JP Morgan. They went directly to TD Ameritrade back in the day. They wrote a quick doc, and then they put that money inside a brokerage account. And that money sat in cash for 70% of the time that it was in that brokerage account. Nobody ever helped them build a portfolio. No, nobody ever helped them put that money.
Okay, so
not using
you're simply
stores.
you're to summarize, you're making the argument that an entrepreneur that's just him or herself and their spouse setting up a solo K can make some mistakes in the setup process, and
95% of the time.
Yeah. And your first one about immediate eligibility and everything, and this is where I want to go to Jack, because this is like where his brain is. Jack, is it still true? Like, there's no such thing as a solo K, really, right? It's still a 401k plan in every way, shape, or form. It just so happens to not have employees. Is that an okay statement for me to make? I thought my dad taught me that a long time ago. Like, it's just a regular old 401k plan. There just happens to be no NHCEs and no non-owners.
Yes, I would say that it is just the same as another 401k. What I've never figured out, and I wish that they would differentiate, I would love to see the Department of Labor separately account for solo 401k plans. I haven't seen them do that.
Actually, like, name them and give them a category and start to like guide them in some way.
We have multiple employer plans, we have single employer plans.
Right.
Can we have solo plans as well? The other thing is, would one of you guys pick up the phone and give Senator Cassidy a call and remind him that there is such a thing as a solo 401k before he runs off and decides he's going to add all kinds of new requirements? Well, Senator Cassidy from Louisiana, he's introducing legislation
He's not
all over the place. He's a nice guy. He's a physician. He's a nice guy. He's a physician. But the reality is that the majority of people in America, I shouldn't say the majority, every person with wages in America is eligible to contribute to an individual retirement account. And only about 12% of Americans with wages actually do. So he's out there thinking of new mandates, lowering the eligibility age to 18, things like that. And so, again, if you guys are going to focus in on this very small employer marketplace, including the solo 401ks, be great if somebody got to the good senator and let him know what was going on.
Pulling the coolest jets. I also feel like I need a little more time with Secure 2.0 before they start throwing more shit at my industry. Like, we're still dazed and confused by all the stuff we have to comply with right now. I think at a certain point, keep giving us more options.
So you can look at, if you go out, and this isn't an acronym, it's a 401kspecialist.com. look at for a couple of articles, posts that I had there about Secure 2.0. Most of the stuff in Secure 2.0, and again, I know it's an acronym, but it's also the name of the legislation.
No, it's not.
Not
No.
2.0 is not an
Only
acronym.
1.0.
It is as well
Dave.
as the name of it. It is
1.0.
both.
Fred Reish told us on this very show that Secure 2.0 is not an acronym. And I'm sure the chat bar can back me up on this. I'm
Oh.
going to send you full. Yeah, we'll let you know.
Well, then okay, then I got that wrong. But my point is the majority of the stuff that's in there, especially all the crap that's liquidity that's in there, is just worthless. And I wish that the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, and the Department of Labor would, never issue guidance, and so that most people wouldn't adopt the voluntary stuff.
Yeah. I just mean dealing with the long-term part-time, dealing with these new over 145,000 Roth, all this crap is like, we really need to like shore all that shit up before you start throwing more stuff at us.
JD, by the way, you owe a drink and you're not doing it. That's disappointing. Okay, thank you.
JD, before you move on, you asked the question, which none of us answered, which is, should advisors be paying attention to this space? General answer for me is yes. I think you have an opportunity as an advisor to get some assets under management, to support a line of business that people are not paying a whole lot of attention to. And then I'll say, maybe selfishly, most of these owner-only opportunities are great fits for cash balance combination plans.
True.
They're making good money. They're consultants only. They're trying to find a way to shelter. And if you have someone and you're not just going online to write a doc, you have someone that spends a little bit of time with that business owner and shows them the opportunity for tax savings, you can get a very happy client that is sticky for you from an advisor perspective by opening up this box they didn't know existed.
Yeah.
So can I ask who's actually active in the combination plan marketplace? Because I don't know.
As record keepers, or as as third party administrators, we've probably got over 100 of them right now, and actively sell them all the time. Cash balance plans.
Yeah, as a record keeper, as a service provider.
Most of them, the 401k will land with a record keeper, but the cash balance side of it, since it's a pooled account, we usually go into a brokerage setup with the advisor.
Brokerage has, the advisor's brokerage,
right.
I would say maybe half of the major record keepers will
offer
hold the
some
assets.
type of pool.
Yeah, but they
Not
don't get
all of them.
half of the plans. Like I
No
would say
one does
record
it.
kept
I'm saying,
an
but
institution is
they offer,
they have a
product to
solution.
actually hold them.
Nobody
Yeah,
does
they have a
Yeah,
solution.
so I was wondering who's big in this particular marketplace.
Big.
Mostly the
vendor?
third party administrators.
Yeah,
It's mostly the tax document folks like us that are sitting down and looking at a plan and saying, hey, you guys could save a lot more.
I don't
Have
think
you looked at these alternatives?
I don't think a Nationwide, a Voya, or a Hancock
Fidelity
Power
or
has
Power.
really laid a stamp on this in any way, shape, or form. You've got TPAs all across the country, helping advisors set this up. And to Chad's point, the pool for the cash balance is primarily going to like whoever their broker dealer's brokerage account is or whatever, and they're putting it over there, and hopefully choosing the right type of, what did you call it, Chad? Things you put your money in to make money option to do that. Let's move on. I was not intending to spend this much time on solo case, but whatever.
Time out
Yes.
real quick. Sorry, we got to address this. Tony called it out. Everything I'm seeing too. It is 2.0 is an acronym.
That is not fucking true.
Hey, I think
Fred
just
makes
said he didn't have to drink.
All right, let's
yeah.
put a pin in that. We'll come back. We'll debate this later.
So one more
Tony,
question.
just because you put it in chat, K, doesn't mean that it's true. What, Jack?
One more question about small
Good
employer
sales pitch
plans.
there.
Are any of you guys doing group of plans?
Fuck no. Okay.
Tell me what you really think. Okay.
Let's move on. No, and no MAPs and no pooled employer plans either. Because, Jack, those are all spawned from the devil. Okay, let's move on from another article from the National Association of Plan Advisors. Again, go figure. The title of the article is Growth in Micro 401k Market Set to Take Off. Now, we have talked about this before, so I'm not going to go back into the whole concept that over the next 5 years, we're going to have this tidal wave of startup 401k plans coming our way. And that's what a lot of this article is about, and that's fine. But I want to focus on a smaller subset in this article that talked about, kind of led to the conclusion that maybe we are kind of solving this coverage gap or narrowing it in some significant manner. From the article, I will read from it after I burp. It says, in fact, the number of 401k plans has already grown significantly in recent years. The report notes approximately 150,000 new 401k plans were added between 2018 and 2023, with nearly 2/3 of these plans added in 2021 and 2023. Much of this growth is from employers starting new plans, which is one of the key goals of the Act 1.0 and the Act 2.0 to help close the coverage gap. So, this is not, I guess, not a question. Do you think that that's significant? 150,000 plans over 2018 to 2023. Jack, do you have any barometer for that? Whether that sounds like good, bad, or indifferent? Because they're claiming this is good.
So the last set of reports to the Department of Labor on the form double nickel, double zero.
You're good. You can say that one. You're good
shows,
at this. You might be one of the best we've had. Continue.
Shows that there were in 2022 shows that there were 670 some odd thousand defined contribution plans with about 120 million accounts, of which about 1 out of every 5 accounts was a term vested account. In terms of adding 150,000, that would be a 20% increase over 5 years. There are 3 million employers, is my understanding, in the United States of America. So it depends upon what you put in your denominator to decide whether or not that's significant growth. That is more growth than we saw in the last 5 years. So there's nothing bad about that.
God, I love you. Do you know that what I did was exactly what you just pulled off the top of your head? So in prep for the show, I myself went back and tried to look at the last 10 years and how many plans we brought on every year. And Jack just pulls this shit off the top of his head. Those numbers line up with everything I pulled. In 2014, 10 years before 2024, we had just over half a million plans, 545,000. And then in those years to 2015, 2016, we added a couple tens of thousands, like 20,000. Then we added 15,000. By the time we got to 2018, we had 588,000 plans. It was very kind of slow rolling. And so to go from 588,000 in 2018, which is what this article is talking about, to north of 700,000 plans, my 2024 number was somewhere in the 715,000 plans range. I feel like, okay, there's some growth, but I'm going to be the pessimist like I always am, which is but is that really solving the problem? It doesn't seem.
First of all,
wouldn't it be,
the premise of the article is crap. We do not have a coverage problem. If everybody took advantage of the individual retirement account, the median savings that employees and their employers make each year, the median across employer-sponsored plans is less than the individual retirement account.
Well, you're saying we don't have a gap because they have an option.
We don't have a coverage gap. We have a motivation gap.
Oh, yeah, fair. Okay.
All kinds of gaps.
Right.
But we surely don't have a coverage gap, and we haven't had one for 44 years.
I can't wait to hear you, Chad. Go ahead. What the fuck are you about to say?
Employees are over 50% more likely to participate in a plan where the deduction happens within payroll.
It's another bullshit comment. The reality is No, that's really true. If you look at when we had voluntary individual retirement accounts in the early 1980s, where you could have a payroll deduction individual retirement account, nobody signed up. I used to work at Tenneco in
Because
Houston.
pensions were the primary driving factor
No,
back then.
no, these were
Jack.
people who were not eligible to join the savings plan at that point and weren't
And by the way,
eligible.
not everyone had a pension back then. That's another misnomer.
Well,
Like,
There was a lot less things to spend money on in the 80s than there are in 2025.
Bottom line
way
is
better
that
drugs.
when we offered access to payroll deducted individual retirement accounts that did not include an automatic enrollment like what we have in Secure Choice in California,
What's your point?
nobody signs up.
It's not just Secure Choice or Cal Savers in California. It's all of the state mandates essentially have auto.
don't forget. By the
So
way,
does
don't forget
every
now.
new
But that's not a
401k
not a
plan.
coverage
Yeah.
issue. That's not a coverage
Yeah,
issue.
you
That's a
said that very well.
motivation
That's
issue.
an engagement issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Now
Right.
I'll argue two ways. Like, to me, if we're saying people are more likely to participate if the deduction happens via payroll, and we're saying that people are more likely to participate if it's an automatic enrollment component where they don't have to take action. But we know both of those things are true. Whether it held true in the 80s or not, we know that people are more likely to save money if it happens via payroll, and they're more likely to participate if there's auto features in. Then the term, I think you're picking on the term coverage being the issue. And I could argue with that. Everybody has an opportunity to save, but we know they're more likely to save if they do it in this capacity. That's the issue. The engagement issue is what exists.
I don't know. I think you've been drinking the 401k Kool-Aid a little bit, which is okay. Nevin says in the chat bar that state-run plans have opt-out percentages north of 35%. Like, people are declining, those state-run plans. That's a pretty decent number.
As someone who has been live and in color with a lot of those, JD, in California, I can tell you, and maybe nobody wants to hear this, especially in legislation, a lot of employers are telling their employees not to opt in.
Yeah,
They're telling them to go
they'd
opt
have
out.
They'd have to tell them to opt out, right?
That's what I mean. They're telling them to opt out.
Also, do you really think all these employers are automatically enrolling these folks? Yeah.
Well, any
Absolutely
new 401k plan that they add today, they would have to add automatic enrollment to it.
True, and I think that now that seems like really smart to me. And Jack, I love that you said we do not have a coverage gap problem. That was spot on. Everyone's got an opportunity to do something, whether it's the individual retirement accounts or whether they have access to a 401k plan. I like
so what
that.
we
But
do
listen-
have with the individual retirement account is a liquidity issue. And so I'm sure Nevin will know the number better than I will, but about somewhere between 20 and 35% of all the money contributed to state mandated IRAs, like the one in California, has already leaked out of those particular programs. Did I say
Really?
an acronym?
Yeah, you said
Individual
individual
retirement
retirement account, meaning people are leaving employers.
No, even
with-
those who are enrolled, who don't opt out, their contributions that they put in, somewhere around 1/3 of all that, somewhere between a quarter and 1/3 of all those monies have already leaked out of those programs.
meaning they took
into like an individual retirement account upon a
No, a
move,
distribution.
Yeah, a
Cash out.
taxable distribution.
Oh,
with a
they're
penalty.
Well,
taking
no,
a
they're Roth
district-
monies, so the
Oh, yeah.
contributions
They're just
contributions
pulling it
coming out
out.
are coming out tax free. And in fact, if you look at California's education and marketing material, you'll see that they actually say this is like an emergency account if you need it.
Yeah. Well, here's
Damn.
the thing. It's going to sound really asshole of me. You can't force human beings to save that are not motivated to save on their own. Let me be less asshole and be like, they're struggling. They go paycheck to paycheck. They got to cover their bills. And if they feel like they can cash out a $750 check and go buy a fucking TV, they'll do it.
But see, that's the problem with individual retirement accounts, and that's that they don't have any good liquidity provisions. They couldn't. It's too bad you wouldn't be able to do a loan like you can in a 401k
Right.
plan. And there have been.
Jack, would you be a fan of taking 401k plans, individual retirement accounts, state-run plans, and being like more gnarly in terms of not allowing people to gain access to that money until they reach retirement?
Okay, so in my history, I got rid of hardship withdrawals in my last plan sponsor role and put in place 21st century plan loan functionality.
Loans.
So, what does that 21st century crap look like? Electronic banking.
Right.
It looks like line of credit structure, and it looks like behavioral economics prompts to encourage repayment, to prompt people to repay the loan. Most loans are repaid.
Right.
When a loan is not, except when it's defaulted, and that's typically less than 10% of them, the loan is not leakage. It just becomes a fixed income investment in the plan. So yes, as opposed to allowing people to take money out of their individual retirement account whenever they wanted to, which you can, yes, I would prefer that the code be amended to allow them to take loans.
And Justin Chattermark was, I guess I'll drink for now, was Secure 2.0
No,
more
we're not changing the
We're
rule of that,
not.
dude.
Fred
No,
clarified
no.
that.
was it more about forcing people to keep money in their plans or letting them have access to the money in their plans? Because
I
I
feel
would
like it
argue
was the
it's
latter.
heavily the
It
latter.
was all about letting money out.
Yeah,
All
right.
self-verification
And no
Tax
offense
dollars
to
now.
people who've been abused or in a hard situation or in a disaster or all the different reasons you can get money out. Secure 2.0 really like opened it up to get access a lot more. Okay,
Yep.
this is good. I like you, Jack. I really do like you. You know what I like best about you, and I want you to continue to do it, and I'm sure the chat bar does too. You fucking interrupt me anytime you want, bro. Like, I do that to our guests all the time. You're kind of taking a power move right now. Your head's bigger than all of ours. And I like it.
I'm looking something up to stick in the chat box. So
I like it. I like it. Okay, this is actually the one I wanted to talk about. Let's check back in on Senator Warren. I forget where this article comes from, but Senator Warren not content with Empower's response on private markets. This little drama gets even juicier because we've got new characters in this story. Little news brief out there that Voya, in partnership with Blue Owl, is now going to offer private investments in their record keeping situation. And now apparently Donald Trump is going to do an executive order that will clear the path for private investments in 401k plans, as well as don't get all upset in the chat bar, as well as cryptocurrency. But let's stick with Senator Warren for a moment. She wrote back to Empower, and who is that? Ed Murphy? Am I getting that right? Is that Ed Murphy that wrote back to?
First name.
How come Devin's in the? Did Devin?
I just suckered him into
like
saying
that.
it again. So yeah.
So Ed
Not
Murphy
me.
did
Dummy.
respond to
No,
Senator
Devin.
Warren's request and tried to make his argument for why private investments were important to the retirement plan space. Most of his argument was about how these were unique investments that could provide potentially a higher. By the way, I've done the I word a couple times. A higher rate of return for these participants, and
That's
to
a
really
lot right now.
kind of modernize the 401k. Senator Warren responds by saying that he did not do a good job of that. She noted that studies suggest that private market investments have consistently underperformed as compared to publicly traded indices. I'd love to see that information because everything I've looked at has told me that they, over the last 5, 10, 15 years, have actually done pretty well, these private investments. But then her last comment, I thought was the great one. She went on to add this is in response to Ed Murphy and Empower. Rather than share a survey depicting support for investment in private markets, I ask again that you answer my questions on how venturing into private markets will affect your clients by Friday, July 25th, 2025. So there's this this battle going. I will suck up on the drinks. Jack, where do you stand on this fight, which has, by the way, gotten very explosive in our industry on private investments in 401k plans or retirement plans?
So to start with, and again, they're going to avoid the acronym, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974 doesn't preempt other federal laws. And I'm assuming that would include securities laws. I'm no securities attorney. I really doubt they're going to throw suitability over the side. I really doubt that that's what they're going to do, especially when it comes to rank and file workers who at best are not investment savvy. And so if you think of what suitability requires, a reasonable basis, customer specific and quantitative, the bottom line is that just like most people who put money in things that will make them money in their individual accounts, doesn't seem to make much sense when you look
Okay,
at
so Jack, let me stop you
folks
for a
who
moment.
would want to do the same thing in their 401k accounts.
So let me stop you and see how you think about this version of it, though. Crypto aside for a second, my understanding with the private equity or the private investments is currently the plan is to use these in small slivers inside of target date funds or managed accounts. So this is not a situation where we're going to say to the 50 employees, hey, here's your investment options, and would you also like to choose, this private equity to invest in? No. This is simply the money manager themselves is going to say, hey, instead of putting 15% diversified emerging markets and 10% in technology, I might like to slide 5% into these private investments to kind of boost our performance. Do you still against that concept?
So you still only get 2 points for a slam dunk? If that's all
Yes.
you get, look at Intel versus Suleiman. Recently completed 6-year litigation when Intel stuck private equity into its target date funds. 6 years. Now they ultimately prevailed, but I'm here to tell you as a plan sponsor, if you're litigating, you're losing. Doesn't make any difference if you win. Don't give a care about that. If you gotta go to court and screw around, and this went all the way to the Supreme Court and back.
Okay,
and
well,
then back up to the Ninth Circuit.
I'm sorry for everyone listening in. I've made this point before, and I'm not challenging you just to challenge you, Jack. I understand your prudent perspective, especially like putting yourself in the shoes of a fiduciary or a plan sponsor to make decisions that don't get them sued. I totally get that. But as an industry, as a whole, we need to evolve. And if alternative investments can help us provide better solutions to our clients over the long haul, we need to continue to look for those types of improvements.
Okay,
And so I don't shake your fucking head at me for a second. Hang on.
I just defaulted some guy making $30,000 a year into his target date fund.
Yes.
This is his first contribution to a K plan. What sliver do you want in the private equity market?
Whatever might boost that target date's performance for him over the next 3, 5, 10 years.
And hindsight tells you hindsight tells you that whatever this has done in the past is going to be repeated in the future. Why would I take this risk as a plan sponsor, or if I were the plan investment fiduciary?
Well,
why would I take that risk?
Well, I got news for you guys. It's happening.
It's happening.
Oh,
sure.
And it's being forced. So why is it being forced is an equally good question. There is a reason as to why it's being pushed both by the high-end powers
it's $12 trillion
keeping space.
$12 trillion.
It's access.
Assets under management.
They charge more.
Access, right, Jack? It's access to those big dollars.
Fees.
Yeah, well, that is the one.
No, 20
so
times
JD,
or 6
Nevin,
times.
Go ahead, Chad.
Sorry, go ahead, Jess, and then I'll make my point.
I was saying that same point. What was she saying in the article? 20 times the fee or 6 times the fee? I feel like it was 20, but that seems high.
Up to 20 times, but that can be inflated and fair enough. But Nevin asked a question in the chat bar.
Last time we talked, it was not much over what the
Yeah,
rest of
and
the
that's
market is
Jack's
returning.
point. Is
So
like, why take on the additional risk? Why
Yeah.
be an early adopter to something like this? And I'm not denying all those, but I'm also supporting JD's thoughts of we can't continue to just do the same old stuff.
I got news for you guys.
And we have to be open-minded.
Voya's gonna dip into this. Empower obviously is at the center of this. Those are two very large record keepers. So, and those people are not idiots. Now you're saying that this is about money, and I do agree.
Are
People
they going to
talk
pay
about-
the fiduciary insurance premium?
Well,
Are
so
they going to take on the liability? If they're going
No.
to do that, well, that's a different story.
but this is so Jack, let's ask
get
JD
sued for it.
Nevin's
Jack,
question if I get on that side.
I can get sued these days for having a freaking index fund that underperformed the active market. So don't go
Absolutely.
down. You can get sued for anything.
For good reason, bad reason, no
Yeah.
reason whatsoever. But let them sue the other guy first, okay?
Well, there's always, to my earlier point, Jack, there's always got to be that other guy that's got to push for some of
Someone's
this
got to do it.
of evolution. I am a fan of private equity and private investments in terms of the opportunity that it provides to invest in things that are not publicly traded on the stock market. And again, in a prudent asset allocation manner, we've always learned over time that slivers to certain alternative assets can really help smooth out the path of some type of asset allocation. And so I don't think we should snub our nose at these new opportunities.
So one
Period.
last comment and then I'll shut up. Median tenure
Please
of
don't.
American workers has been less than 5 years for the last 7 decades. The average employee, averages in quotes,
They
there's no
move
such
around.
thing, has had at least 12 different employers by the time they've reached age 53. That's a lot of turnover.
Yes.
That's a lot of money coming and going. That's a lot of money moving from the plan to an IRA or to a different employer sponsored plan.
What are you talking
IRA,
about?
I did it again.
Are you talking about liquidity or what, why does that matter?
I got you, Jack.
The investments aren't the same in every plan. There's money moves post separation.
Right.
And so if liquidity is an issue,
Which I
then
don't think it is.
yeah, then you have an issue.
I don't think liquidity is an issue. I think liquidity is an issue when I myself take $1 million and go invest in private equity, my money's locked up. But the way these guys are going to run a target date fund or a managed account, they're going to take into effect the liquidity is their risk as they choose their investments, not the participant's risk. And I'm just saying in the future, if Voya is doing this and Empower is doing this, a lot of target date funds eventually, because these brave men and women were willing to step out and do something different, they'll all be that way. Hagler says wrong.
If they were at risk, that'd be great. Be fine with
Watch.
me.
Good news is this thing's on YouTube and it's
Let me-
recorded, and I will be laughing in fucking 10 years when you guys are looking at how these things are built.
Let me,
Mark, we
JD,
need
let
to
me
buy
ask
or
the
sell here,
question
buddy.
that Nevin asked. How does a fiduciary committee carry any oversight over what sliver of private equity is put?
Currently, they don't look at a target date fund and say, "Oh, we're concerned
Let
this
me see the
5%
underlying.
emerging markets." No, they don't.
I know, but if that's the world we're going to get into, where we're going to talk about slivers
No,
going to
different.
something that's alternative and risky, I do think it's different.
They already
think it's
have
different.
slivers in alternative investments. They already do. Just
In
not
private equity.
No, but that's no different than fucking some other asset class. Asset classes go up, asset classes go down. No one can predict when, how, where, or what.
Agreed with that.
So it's just another fucking asset class, for Christ's sakes. You know, we won't even get into crypto because that gets a little more difficult, but we will move on. I love this subject so much. Yes, Jack, you look like you have to say something. Go ahead, do it.
I'm just wondering, I just looked at it and I stuck the link out there on the chat. I'm just wondering how the department is going to deal with the selection of target date investments or target date funds when it comes to updating the QDIA regulations.
Ooh, you'll definitely drink for that.
That's 2 for Jack there.
My answer would be the risk of the target date fund, which is what you're stating now is a approved qualified default investment alternative. The risk of that fund is not going to go up in any significant manner because of the sliver that we've discussed so many times. So it's irrelevant. It doesn't change. It hasn't become a more risky fund. If that was true, then the same would be true if you had a target date fund that decided to put technology in a sliver, or diversified emerging markets, or health science, or some other fucking sector that might be more volatile or have a higher standard deviation. That's
But
not
all of
true.
those-
That's not how it works.
Let me at least make one point on all that, JD. All of the things you just stated have governance and some transparency because they've been in our space for a long time. Private equity at this point is kind of a hidden area when it comes to disclosures, when it comes to actual expense. And so I'm not sure you can truly put those two things in the same bucket there.
Well, I will jump on your side of the fees. I do think that we all don't know what happens under the hood right now of target date funds or managed accounts. There are operating expenses, there are administration expenses. They pay the managers of these funds to make decisions, and we all don't really look under that hood and understand what that is. But to your point, Chad, I'm sure it's available to us somewhere in today's day and age. And when it comes to private investments, obviously that's going to be a little more difficult. And I am concerned about the fees, in that will these just be hidden to us in some way? But these fees inevitably are going to be netted from the returns. And so, last point, because I can do this sometimes as host of the show, we'll move on. But the responsibility and the risk will lie with the managers of the managed account service and or the target date funds. And they're in the business of trying to do well to win more clients and win more assets. They're not going to do something that they think will hurt them in the long run. Now, can they fuck that up? Sure. Okay, let's lighten the mood, even though I don't want to. And Jack, a long time ago, I come up with a lot of creative things in life, and I was just sitting around, kind of in a Buddhist moment, balancing on a stone, and I came up with this really cool game. It's called the Nope or Dope game, and it's totally. The way this game works, Jack, is I'm going to bring up a pop culture thing, just a general life thing. And I'm going to ask you if you're nope on it or you're dope on it, and then you're going to tell me why. And I really want you to, go deep with this. Like, tell us how you really feel about this thing. The
Private
first
equity
one,
in 401k. How do you feel? Nope or dope?
the first one, good one, Justin. The first one is sporks. Are you into sporks? Are you not into sporks? The old spoon and fork combo.
So I am into sporks, and
Okay.
it's from experience camping with my son when he was with the Boy Scouts.
Perfect. You're nailing this
Tugging on
game
heartstring right there.
like everything else you're nailing on this show. Yeah, that was very, very good.
I want to say no, but I can't because of that now.
Yeah, you can.
Before.
Tell us why you hate them, Justin. Tell us why you hate sporks.
I just like things separated. I like, my spoon is for soup or
What?
whatnot.
So you want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich just in halves? Like you don't want it together?
No, like say I can't, I'm going to eat soup with my spoon, and then I'm going to go to like a salad. I don't want the soup shit on my salad.
You use another spork, dude.
JD, have you ever seen the movie
Why not have a spoon and a fork in that case, dumbass?
What movie?
The Accountant? When you open the drawer, there's one knife, one fork, and one spoon. That's Justin right there.
Okay,
He's like, I got this for this. I got this for this.
Well,
I got that
Chad, I would ask you this question, but I know that everybody in Missouri uses sporks. But so we'll go straight to Robe Guy. Where are you at on this scene?
This is an easy one. I mean, obviously Jack nailed it, but let me take you guys back in time as to why we should all love sporks even more. Go back in time when Taco Bell used to be purple and teal and those really cool colors, and they weren't all vibey and weird like they are now. And remember ordering an enchilada it came with a spork. That right there was an incredible combination. Cannot be beat. Sporks rule. That's all I have to say
Might
about
I
that.
add, you did have the best Taco Bell out of anyone in the country.
In the country.
In Pacifica, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, you're
On
right.
the beach.
I sure did.
Let's not
Okay.
forget the
Sure did.
sporks we got in elementary school.
Jack, this one happened to me literally today. I was at the grocery store, and I don't know. Yeah, I guess the chapter's talking about it. Maybe I am in a negative state of mind today. I'll accept that. I was in line behind this person, and they needed to pay for what they had purchased, and they paid in exact change. I stood there waiting as they gave dollars and quarters and dimes and God knows what they were fucking trying to add up to pay this person. So paying an exact change, are you nope or dope on this?
I'm a nope on this one.
Ooh.
Long ago, my same son was the Boy Scout, came up with a concept about how he would get rid of the penny. And so anything that's exact change because of taxes and everything else, you need pennies. So I've been
Wasn't Trump
nope.
trying to get rid of the penny?
Yeah, but you know, if you think about it, like you get these little participation cards from Kroger's or from whomever, and if they keep a huge record of all the crap you buy, and all they need to do is load it with $1, and then whenever you swipe it, you can, essentially round up or round down or take the money off that card. And so they don't ever have to do change, be done with.
I haven't done nope or dope on the round up or round down, but I do kind of like that. Chad, I didn't ask you about the spork. So how do you feel about paying an exact change?
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. It's not something I do. I don't carry cash. I don't pay in cash. I use the card and earn points for everything. But if someone's walking around with change, go ahead and use it.
Only been something that's changed since, pun intended, COVID.
Yeah, you just don't.
Because nobody
Is that
wants
an
to handle
acronym?
change.
It
I
hasn't
never
changed since
that.
COVID. That's pretty
No,
good. It
that's only
hasn't
been something
changed
that
since COVID.
has
Yeah,
changed.
no, it did,
It's only
yeah.
been something that has changed since COVID. We didn't have tap to pay.
It
on a mass
changed.
level.
Yes,
It did
changed.
change.
Maybe if I bought stuff with actual money, money would have more meaning to me, and I wouldn't.
Yeah, not all of us have black cards, JD. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I definitely didn't buy my 2 Lambos with cash. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, nope or dope, Jack. On you're in a. To me, this is in a public restroom, even though my toilet at home does this. We all know I have a very fancy toilet. The automatically flushing toilet. You do your deal, and then you get up, you're in your little stall, and it's like it's not your job to flush it. It just needs to recognize that you're done and you're leaving, and it flushes on its own. Are you nope or dope on this? Or would you rather have a lever?
I'm a whatever this one is. I guess that's the dope version.
Yes.
The reality is that there's probably no place dirtier in all of America than the bathroom in a public stall, if you will. And so the fewer things that I can touch, the better things are. And the last thing I want is somebody who failed to flush when he left the stall before me.
Good point. I didn't think about that one. I did not. Spoken like a true fiduciary. Justin, do you like it when you're sitting on that toilet and you're not done yet, and somehow the thing just decides that you've left and wants to flush while you're sitting there, and it's loud and screaming?
Sometimes you need a courteously flush, JD. I'm always on a tight schedule. I need efficiency. I don't have time to reach back and touch the handle. And to Jack's point, what if someone missed on their wipe, went to flush, and there's some residue left over on the handle? Like, you just don't want to deal with that.
Mark, what about if you're sitting in that public toilet and you get up to walk away because you're done, and you don't hear the sound of the flush? Do you have concerns of like, well, do I need to go back and find that little button to hit, or do I trust the technology?
Well, I gotta go back to Justin, buddy. A tight schedule. You take dumps that take 30 minutes on average, buddy.
It
Also,
doesn't matter.
How many times does an automatic
Why
flusher
you always
go
gotta
off
fucking
when,
argue?
when,
I'm tired of
when
you.
you
Alright.
sit on it? That toilet becomes a bidet for
We
you, buddy.
gotta move on because Nevin's making fun of us. Just so everyone knows.
Is this a question we would have done at Gutfeld? Is that
No, but if anyone knows the real history of Retireholics, we used to talk about poo-pooing and peeing a lot today, right? Okay. Last one, and this also happened to me today. Jack, my daughter, poked her head in my office and said, "Hey, will you smell my shoes?" Asking someone else to smell something like your dirty tennis shoes. Nope or dope. And then we'll take off. We'll go to the next subject.
I guess it's one of both, I guess. It depends upon who's asking and what they're asking me to smell. So I can't answer that one
Fair enough.
exactly. If it were my daughter and she said, smell the shoes, I probably would have said, yes, I'd be the dope.
I did. I
Yeah,
stuck my nose
and
right
if-
into her dirty
and,
shoes.
and if it was something else, I would
Why?
probably have
What's
said,
the
"No."
benefit, guys? What?
I'm her father. She
Yeah,
asked
but
me.
what are you gonna tell her? It smells okay, honey. It
I
smells
told her it
terrible, honey.
smelled.
Put a
It
dryer
smelled
sheet
like.
in it.
I told her it smelled like wet laundry that had been out too long, and she
So
said,
what
"Yeah,
value does that
smells
bring to her? What value? Just put a dryer sheet in it and move on. If you're
All right,
worried,
Jack. You wrote an article a couple years ago titled "My Qualified Default Investment Alternative is Better Than Your Qualified Default Investment Alternative." You smartly used the acronyms for that title. I really enjoyed reading this article. I think you wrote it back in, or not wrote it, the story you're telling is about a plan sponsor committee back in 2005, which I believe you were sitting on. I think this was a true story, right? You're part of this, yeah.
Very much so.
And this was, for everyone listening in, this was pre Pension Protection Act and pre qualified default investment alternatives, and very early on. And you all had wanted to make a decision about what would be your default choice. And you looked at money markets, you looked at guaranteed investment contracts, you looked at target date funds, and then you, in this article, bring up something. I'm going to be totally honest, and we'll see if Chad's as dumb as me. I was never aware of a TDM. Chad, do you know what a TDM is?
I do after reading that article, and it makes perfect sense. But no, I didn't prior to this.
So you all, as a committee, decided that this target date model, if I'm getting that right, would be a more prudent choice than the target date fund. And Jack, elaborate. Tell us more about this. Tell the audience what you all were thinking and what you've come to understand about all that.
Thanks. So I could spend a long time on this, but to make it as straightforward, I'll just give you a couple of what I consider to be the top attributes. The first one is that the target date model is totally transparent. So you can see the underlying investments, and it matched up very well with the I forget what we used to call it, the open architecture of the core investments.
And can I ask, Jack, and you owe for the I word, but they're transparent because are the the I word things the options on the core menu? Is that what's
Yes,
being okay?
exactly.
Okay, continue on.
Not all of them. So we would bring in a third party to establish the glide path and the landing point. And what would happen is that once a year, we only rebalanced once a year, and you would see the allocation in advance and get a notice, and then you would see the allocation after the transfer. And so at least 5 times each year on each quarterly statement, as well as part of the rebalancing effort, you would get a confirmation. Here is how your monies were allocated across the core investment, investment options.
Oh.
Well, don't say it again.
Anyways,
Is this
the positive thing here is that every quarter you would have the plan investment fiduciaries. Again, I said it again. There we go. Sorry. You would have these guys and gals evaluate the performance of the core choices. And as a result, you would essentially have confirmation that the underlying choices inside the allocations were as good as what you were offering to people who were making their own decisions. So you concentrated assets also. Instead of having 15 core choices and 12 target date funds, 27 different choices, you would end up with just the 15.
This is Principal pushed this heavy during early 20s, early 2000s into the 2010s, right? Like this was their entire view that.
Yep. Yeah, they did the
sold
same
a
thing
lot of
in in their own employee plan, which is where this was. It was in Nationwide's employees plan. Now, it wasn't something Nationwide was pushing. It's just what we did in the.
Oh, well, breaking news. You're talking about the Nationwide plan. Is that what you're saying? Oh,
For
wow.
employees at Nationwide.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know, Jack, that they're on your side?
Last I heard, yeah. I still have a lifetime of savings in that plan. I'm still very proud of it.
I heard they're going huge on private investments and crypto. So you might want to take a look at that.
Well,
I'm kidding, Nationwide. Don't send me the fucking email tomorrow. Okay.
So the first thing is that it's totally transparent. The second thing is that what it allows is a tremendous amount of personalization. So because all it is your regular everyday asset allocation transfer process, it's all this is. It's nothing more than that. It's just something that's preset. What you can do is you can have the model essentially vary by year of birth, by sex, and even by like marital status.
How much sex you're having has an impact on your asset allocation?
Which sex you are has a difference, obviously, in terms of mortality. Anyways, the point is that you could have somebody, two different people who both joined the plan on the same day, were both defaulted into this particular investment, who have totally different circumstances, and they're 5 years apart in age in your typical circumstance. And it's not the right investment for either one of them, but it is the default. In this instance, at least you'll get a lot closer to their own personal circumstance. Third thing is that the target date model applies to all assets in the plan. So you don't have what some people call mixed use investing, where you would see this in a lot of plans where the target date fund is a separate investment choice. And people could put 25% of their account balance into the target date fund and then turn around and do things in the other 75% of assets that were in fact in conflict with the target date fund. So there's no mixed use investing. And I can go on and on and on.
Can I ask to kind
Still
of
exists.
to prod you a little bit? Was this also kind of a anti-target date fund vibe? I mean, was this like no? Okay.
No, it was essentially mimic the target date fund without actually, you think about target date funds, for example, and you see these funds have tactical allocations. You see them, they have They're heavily weighted in equities. When individuals are reaching their mid 50s or mid 60s even, because they're trying to outperform the next guy with the nominal same target year. If you look at the 2020 target date funds in 2020, most of the largest target date funds had equity allocations, and where's Ron when I need him, would have equity allocations between 55 and 60%, and 30% of the money was allocated to fixed income investments, and only maybe 5% would be in cash equivalents. And did people know what was in that target date fund? No, they didn't know that.
No.
They didn't know what bets, the
Well, and
various folks were taking.
scarier in 2020, I think it was even you mentioned the 2045 fund, but it was like the 2020 funds and the 2025 funds that took some massive hits, when all that stuff was happening. And those people were really caught off guard because I guess that's another problem with some of those target date funds is the misunderstanding by the public of them thinking like that it's something that it's not somehow. But so Chad is obviously in the target date model versus target date fund battle. The target date model was fucking obliterated literally by the target date fund, which had won over the last 20 years. It's dominated and has massive amounts of assets under management and continues to make the people that run them fat and happy. Will we ever change, or are we in target dates forever? I know people love the idea of managed accounts, some people. But it seems to me that target date funds have a pretty solid grip on our industry.
I think my thought, and as I heard you and Jack talking when we first came on the air, there was a lot of comments back and forth of, did people actually know what they had? Do they know what they have? Will they know what they have in a target date fund or a target date model? Yeah, Jack, there is more transparency when it's the underlying core menu, but in the average person saving their money doesn't look at the core menu. They don't understand what mutual funds are from a general sense. And so, JD, I think the reason why target date funds have succeeded is because they're easy. Hey, here's the date in which you want to retire. Go ahead and pick it. We'll do the rest.
Well, don't also add to that, Chad. They promoted the fuck out of them too. So
can I ask what the word retire means?
It's different for every person you ask.
Right. So when you say the target date is the retirement date,
it's getting
65 is what most are going to say, Jack.
I'm sorry?
65.
Most are going to say when you turn 65.
Why would it be 65 if all these people don't actually commence payout at 65?
Jack, how old are you, Jack?
I'm a little older than 65.
And you're not fucking retired yet? You
obviously
it's 65,
not.
Bro. 65. Everyone's supposed to retire at 65.
Jack, I think in
there's
your
a lot
comment,
of people
and I
like
get where
to
you're
see
coming
me
at.
retire, but
Nevin, did you hear that? Did you hear that? No, yeah.
I'm sorry, Chad. What'd you say?
No, Jack's obviously, Chad, picking this up, but Jack, obviously you're totally right. You cannot make these things individualized for everyone, but they're just trying to handle, the great masses as best they can. But go on, Chad.
That's exactly what I was going to get at.
Why aren't we using the required beginning date?
Required beginning date of retirement?
When they have to start
for the target
take
date.
Money?
Yeah. That's the one thing we know for sure, that at the required beginning date, unless they're still working, they're going to have to start taking the money.
I've never heard that or thought about that.
That's a great, actually, I'll jump on that bandwagon.
I don't think people
I'll tell you why, Jack.
Taking required minimum distributions. I think they think about when I retire. That's more exciting.
We cannot get participants to cooperate with us and give us any information. So we're never going to know what is individual about them. All we know is the year they were born, how much money they fucking make.
That's not true, JD.
What? That's not true? You think participants are keen to fill out risk tolerance questionnaires and tell you about their life?
No, I think ask your partner in crime, Tony Davis, how much access to data we're all going to have here in a short time period. The ability for artificial intelligence to actively monitor all kinds of prior information as well as social media and what pictures you have posted and where you've
Wow.
worked, and you're going to get a fuck ton of information
I got to know
that can help you
this
customize.
Leaf House thing. Nevin says that Todd Kading is created a personalized without talking to people. To me, that's an oxymoron. Is that the right use of that word, Jack? I don't know. That doesn't make sense. You can't have personalized without talking to people unless, like Chad says, just because I know what you bought at Target and what street you live on doesn't mean I know when you want to retire and how much your retirement's going to cost. But no?
I'll say to the overall topic that we're having here is that I think target date funds have succeeded because they seem easy and there was a ton of money behind marketing them. And tracking something like RetireView with Principal back in the day where you were using the underlying core menu and then you had to create sub portfolios and you had to track those sub portfolios, and when you made an investment change
Oh,
the
for
core
sure.
menu, it had to relay into all of those managed accounts. That was
Oh,
difficult. Sorry, I shouldn't have said
Yes.
managed
Oh,
accounts, Jack. I
so
apologize.
so no, but if your plan is large enough, you're not using funds anyway. You're using
Trusts,
separate
collective
accounts
investment trusts, separate
or
accounts.
collective investment
well,
trusts. And so
yeah.
Fair
when
enough.
you change the manager, you don't have to communicate anything other than the change in manager. There's no blackout period. There's no nothing. That's one of the positives about the models, is that you don't have to throw the target date fund over the side because the fixed income investment manager sucks. You can just change the fixed income manager.
Yeah, well, and we'll wrap this here, but it's kind of what you're doing is taking more control of the steering wheel versus just turning it over to the target date fund manager. I mean, that's the simple kind of summarization there, and maybe that's the right thing to do as a fiduciary. That's responsible.
All we're doing is setting the glide path and the landing point. And the glide path could be to, through, or it could be a V or a U or whatever you want to call it. But we're not taking on any greater responsibility than if we selected a target date
I thought
fund
I
with a
just heard
2 or
you. I
3.
thought I just heard you talking about replacing a certain
But
asset.
yeah, I would replace the core investment option, the manager for the core investment option.
Yeah.
Yes. Every
Didn't we
quarter, I'm
learn?
going to evaluate
Didn't
their performance.
didn't we learn back in the day that when I invest in a 401k plan and go to choose my investments, that something like 91% of my return is going to be my asset allocation breakdown. Am I in large cap growth, large cap value, small cap growth versus am I in this money manager versus other money manager?
Right, but if I have a consistently sucky performance by this manager, I'm going to make a change. It's kind of like my fiduciary duty to monitor his or her
Well, you
performance.
should probably get a sliver of private investment in there and that'll balance it out a little bit. Okay, let's vote for Chatbird Champion. My vote is for Todd Harlow because I want to marry him and live with him and spend
In
all
his
of my days
basement.
spend all of my days with him. I want to wake up in the morning and see his beautiful face and go to breakfast and have coffee together, maybe espressos. And I just love myself some Todd Harlow. That's my vote. Jack, who in this chat bar do you think is your favorite to win the title tonight?
I don't, what title are we talking about?
All right, we'll pass on Jack. Okay, Justin, who's your pick for chat bar champion?
Oh, it's Todd.
Okay,
Sure.
two Todds. Chad?
Same.
Okay, fuck Mark, fuck Jack. It's Todd Harlow, the chat bar champion for tonight. Todd Harlow, my lord, what is in store for you in 2 weeks?
Even though you talk shit on me, Todd, you still won.
You know, do you remember the little room he's in with the like wood paneled walls
That's
or
why I
whatever?
said his basement. That's where you want to live.
Jesus Christ. I feel like there's dead bodies down there or something. Do you remember back in the day when Nevin kind of
very first time?
when Nevin turned on his video and he looked like he was in some creepy place? You remember that? That was a long time
I
ago.
do. He was on his couch in the dark, right below
Well,
stairwell.
thank you to Nevin Adams for tuning in. And thank you to the very sexy and attractive Todd Harlow and everyone else out there, even you, Will Hackler, but not you, Tony Davis. But thanks to everyone else that is here tuning in on another Thursday night with Retireholics. Thank you to Robe Guy. Thank you to Silent J. Thank you to Nerdy Chad. But most of all, Jack, I'm putting you in the top. You're like a Mount Rushmore of guests that we've had on the show. We've had some big names, but you're the one who's delivered. Like you came in and threw like a no hitter, or at least like a
Brushback pitch, maybe. I don't know about
something
a
close to
no-hitter.
that. And I'm not saying that just to be nice. Like you crushed it. Thank you so much. And thank you to being a 401k icon and industry vet and doing this your whole life. We are happy to be following behind in the path that you carved for us in this great industry, and stoked that you were willing to take a chance and join us on Retireholics tonight. So thank you very much. Cheers to you, Jack.
Thank you,
Take
Jack.
care, folks. Take care.
Appreciate you.
It doesn't work with a cap on. Brandon, play some music.